If you're thinking of retiring young, you're not alone. New research from Boston College's Center for Retirement Research says that the average age now for women retiring is 62, and for men it's 64. But is retiring too young harmful to your financial health? Let's ask Shannon Yusi, president and co-founder of Beacon Point Advisors. Shannon, welcome. Good to have you with us. I was reading some numbers the other day that a couple age 65 today has a better than 2 out of 5 chances that one or both will reach age 95. So your money's got to last 30 years in retirement.
That's absolutely true. So we tell our clients that, gosh, if you want to retire at 62, you better have the nest egg in order to do so. And we want to know with 80% accuracy that their portfolio is going to last till 95.
So if they do indeed put off retiring, what kind of percentage benefit can they see? How much better is it for them to quantify the advantages of working a little bit longer?
Absolutely. You know, if clients, we've got a client who wanted to retire at age 66. We told him, you know what, it's probably better off if you retire at 70. He's going to receive 25% more in Social Security benefits. And you think about it, during that 4-year period, he's also able to contribute to his 401k plan as well, and tax-deferred assets are able to grow in a tax-free way.
And maybe biggest of all, Shannon, is that during those 4 years, he's not relying on his portfolio. He's leaving it alone. He's actually building it, so he's not drawing money out.
Absolutely. So you know what, if we have a client that wants to retire at 62, 63, 64, wants to retire a little bit early, they've got 2 options. They can either retire early and really save their portfolio and spend quite a bit less. So I would argue saving 30% over the next 30 years is better than taking 2 years and working longer.
Also, you know, if you stay employed and your company offers health benefits, then you don't have to deal with the fact that a lot of times when you retire, you have vastly diminished health benefits, if any at all, for some companies.
Yeah, there's no question. That is the single largest expense in retirement that folks often don't take into consideration. So we want to make sure that we model for that and plan for that for our clients.
What, Shannon, is your, the old rule of thumb is that once someone does retire, for their portfolio, for them not to outlive their portfolio, that they should aim to take out roughly 4% a year. Are you down with that, or is that just, a rule of thumb?
We agree with that rule of thumb, but obviously it depends on what, it's a little bit cliche, but what their happily ever after goals are. Do they want to play for their grandchildren's education? Do they want to take a trip around the world? So all those we need to take into consideration as we're planning that spending rate.
How do you feel about the overall savings rate for most Americans today? I think that's one of the most worrisome things as we see some of these figures and people are so underinvested and they have not saved hardly anything towards retirement.
I think that's the biggest concern. So we've got to make sure that as we're in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s that we're really starting to save early, because the compounding of wealth in your 20s and 30s allows you to save quite a bit less in your 40s and 50s and 60s.
Shannon, what Sue and I are most concerned about is whether we can retire in Newport Beach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.